do see the story of The Wizard of Oz as the story of David Lynch himself becoming a filmmaker.
T'étais où? Oh, Blanche, je t'aime tellement.
He wants to go out into the world and do great big things.
Not bad, kid.
Echoes of the Emerald City in contemporary cinema, David Lynch's surreal and occasionally subversive world, and a French tale of a toxic love story. That's all coming up in today's film show. And for that, I'm joined by critic Lisa Nesselson. Hi, Lisa.
Hello, Olivia.
Now, we're starting this with something that's become a pillar of film history. The 1939 movie The Wizard of Oz, starring Judy Garland, has woven its way and woven its way and woven its way into the often surreal body of work of filmmaker David Lynch. Tell us a bit more about the documentary now, Lynch Oz.
Go off to see this movie, this wonderful movie that thrills, by asking 6 fine cineasts if Lynch took the red or blue pills. His work shot through with much to do on surreal things, both false and true. Please take a look because of the wonderful things it does. There are names of directors who immediately conjure a mood, what the French call a univers or a universe. Everybody knows what Hitchcockian means, and everybody knows what Tarantino-esque implies. But even if you think you know what Lynchian means, there are 2 opportunities out this week in France to learn way more about the byways of inspiration. That would be this documentary and a restored version of Lynch's 2006 feature, Inland Empire.
Okay, well, I mentioned the word surreal. Lynch's work is known for being pretty out there, but this documentary is quite accessible.
Oh, absolutely. I didn't think you could spend almost 2 hours on this topic, but boy, was I wrong. The documentary maker asked 6 critics and filmmakers, including the also one-of-a-kind John Waters, to hold forth on what they see of the iconography of The Wizard of Oz snaking its way through Lynch's films.
Okay, so a painless and riveting experience in cultural criticism. Let's take a look.
David has gone over the rainbow from the very first film ever. He lives in a different reality than you or I do, and that's quite obvious.
Why would Lynch be that absorbed with The Wizard of Oz? Did he watch The Wizard of Oz on a perfect day at the perfect time as a child, and it's sort of baked into his subconscious?
Now, here in France, the Cannes Film Festival has just wrapped up, and it's worth noting that The Wizard of Oz would have represented the United States at the very first festival in Cannes in 1939.
Yeah, that was slated for September, and Hollywood sent 9 movies, including this one, and Frank Capra's Mr. Smith Goes to Washington, so some Munchkins over here, some Heartfelt Democracy over there. The event was all ready to go in September as a democratic alternative to Mussolini's, frankly, fascistic Venice Film Festival. And yes, film festivals used to be not overly subtle political battlegrounds, but then Germany invaded Poland, and French audiences wouldn't see American films in cinemas again until after World War II.
Wow, that's quite a wait. Now, Lynch is known, obviously, for being a film director, but he's also an artist, a major innovator as well in what people like on network television, certainly what can grab them.
Yeah, everybody with electricity now knows that episodic, limited TV series can be glorious entertainment. But Lynch electrified the form back in 1990 with his Twin Peaks, and the rest is history.
Indeed. Well, we know him for these titles like Eraserhead, The Elephant Man, Blue Velvet, Mulholland Drive, but a lesser-known film of David Lynch is out here this week. This is Inland Empire, made in 2006. It's recently been remastered.
Le Monde called it, quote, an abstract and lyrical masterpiece. Inland Empire is about the making of a movie that seems to have strange powers over its cast and crew. Things that not only go bump in the night, which is traditional, but also go bump in the day. One of the comments online that I really liked was, I've never looked so forward in my life to a woman being in trouble. And yep, the character played by Laura Dern is in big trouble after she's cast in the second attempt to make a movie that the first time was kind of lethal to its 2 leads.
Intriguing. Well, here's a glimpse of the distinctive Lynchian mood of Inland Empire.
Our producers know the history of this film, and they've taken it on themselves not to pass on that information to us. Purposefully.
Something's wrong. love me?
It's a story that happened yesterday, but I know it's tomorrow.
Don't you remember anything? How it was?
Mysterious indeed. But what does that title, Inland Empire, mean?
Well, strictly speaking, the Inland Empire is a very large area of Southern California. I'm told the combined land area of the counties of the Inland Empire is larger than 10 U.S. states put together. Lynch shot this on video back in 2006, way before video technology advanced to the point that most directors now use digital equipment rather than celluloid. And when it came out in the U.S. in 2006, critic Manola Dargis of the New York Times called it extraordinary, savagely uncompromised, as well as, quote, one of the few films I've seen this year that deserves to be called art, end quote. Do we go to the movies to see a movie or to see art? Ideally, both.
Oh, here, indeed. Well, next we're going to a film that just premiered in Cannes and is currently on French screens. L'amour et les forêts is by Valerie Donzelli. That translates as Of Love and Forests, but the official English title is Just the Two of Us. Take a look.
Oh, t'es sûr que tu vas pas regretter de faire tout ça pour moi?
Ah, j'échange la mer contre les forêts.
Et l'amour.
Tu te plains de ton mari?
Pourquoi tu fais toujours que je me plaigne de toi? Pardon, excusez-moi.
Pourquoi tu m'as raccroché au nez?
J'étais en cours.
Tu rentres à quelle heure?
17h, pourquoi? Il t'appelle tout le temps, ton mari, hein? Oui, il est comme ça. Oh, bah t'es complètement fou.
Bah, je te parle, mais tu réponds pas. J'ai réfléchi et on va rester là pour Noël, hein. C'est beaucoup plus simple. T'as besoin de voir du monde? On a besoin de voir personne, on est bien tous les deux. Je te veux que pour moi.
Okay, so we see actors Virginie, Efira and Melvil Poupaud as a couple there. How does that work out for them?
Well, here's a hint. Almost every summary I've read manages to use the term toxic relationship. This is Donzelli's sixth feature film as a writer-director, and she co-wrote this adaptation of a best-selling French book with fellow director and screenwriter Audrey Diwan. And it all connects because Donzelli, whose third time showing a film in Cannes this was asked what her favorite or most influential Cannes viewing experiences have been, and she started by naming David Lynch's Mulholland Drive, which played Cannes in 2001. As for this film, I tend to think that you increase the likelihood of clicking with a suitable mate if you meet in person rather than online or via an arranged marriage from a neighboring village with a cow or a goat thrown in. But the two protagonists, Blanche and Greg, meet at a party, quickly learn they're sexually compatible, have two kids, and, well...
That's how it goes. Okay, well, here's more from the director and her main actors on the complex issue the film deals with.
I wanted to tell the story of this invisible construction of a controlling relationship. Invisible as if it were visible, we wouldn't fall into the trap. By a certain point, she doesn't know who she is anymore. She is haunted by her own husband.
This is not something anecdotal, not some passionate love story. We're dealing with a real societal issue, that of coercive control.
Everyone was aware of the importance of this subject matter. How Valerie wanted to tell the story, that being with lots of respect for the characters and to do justice to this tragic tale.
So those two actors, Virginie Efira and Melvil Poupaud, we see them quite a bit here in France.
We certainly do. Poupaud has been in 5 films in the last 12 months, and Efira at least 4. Last year, he fell in love with a much older woman played by Fanny Ardant, and this month, in addition to this, he gives courtesan Jean du Barry her noble name in Maywen's Jean du Barry. Here, he plays a banker with some character traits that his wife Blanche probably didn't bank on. She's a very good actress, but to me it seems as if she may have completed another film role since you and I sat down to do this show.
Wow, busy lady. So you recommend the cast perhaps a bit more than the film?
That's the diplomatic way to put it. When you get married, in addition to maybe a prenuptial agreement, should there be a survey on a scale of 1 to 10? How possessive are you? How jealous? When you fly into a rage, do you throw the nearest object or press down on the nearest windpipe? There's nothing funny, of course, about simmering domestic violence, but how do you ever really know who you're dealing with?
Indeed. Well, Lisa, thank you very much for the film roundup this week and that relationship advice as well. We're wrapping up the show with a superhero who has us tangled up in his web once again. He goes by Miles Morales, or Spidey, to his friends. The Marvel Comics character is back in yet another incarnation. Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse sees him tackling a multiverse of life-threatening scenarios, and this time the action's all animated. Voiced by a cast including Shameik Moore, Haley Steinfeld and Jason Schwartzman as the villain. It hits French theatres this week, and we'll leave you with a clip. Otherwise, you can get more movie news on our website and our social media feeds too. Do stay with us here on France 24. There's more news coming up just after this.
And he never lets anyone tell him that he doesn't belong there. You gotta promise, Miles.
I promise.
Who do you think you are? Really?
We are supposed to be the good guys.
We are.